What is their superpower? This is an inner circle discussion at EllisFamLife, #autistictwins, and if you'd like to enter the discussion, then stick around. Hey EllisFamLifers, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, this is EllisFamLife, #autistictwins, where we like to do three things. We want to raise awareness and acceptance for nonverbal autism, relate to you as the autistic person or as the caregiver of an autistic loved one, and 3, educate by sharing examples and stories of our life with nonverbal autistic twins, Alex and Will. All right, friends. This is one that's been circling around in my brain for a little while, and it was a thought that was introduced to me probably in the last couple or 3 months when we were talking about, it was another inner circle where we were talking about telling people that you haven't seen in a while that your child has been diagnosed with nonverbal autism, sensory processing disorder, something that is non-typical, something that is special needs. And it started this discussion on my comment section about what people say when you tell them. Usually they'll say something like, "Oh, I'm sorry," or, it's always a little bit awkward. And then one of my viewers, one of my moms on the channel, on the comment section said, "You know what I really hate is when they say, 'What is their superpower?'" And the reason that is so bothersome and so frustrating is because there is a perception of autistic children and autistic people that they are very, very smart. And autistic people as a whole, every person is different. And of course, I'm not saying that autistic people aren't smart. There are lots of very smart autistic people in the world. Every individual autistic person, nonverbal, whatever, that's why they call it a spectrum, because everyone is different. But for the most part, there are a lot of deficits with taking care of and or raising this autistic loved one. And the public perception is, in my opinion, more like we see movies like Rain Man. That was kind of the first big movie about autism. He had savant characteristics, so he was incredibly smart in some ways, but he couldn't relate. And a lot of autistic people are like that. But most of the ones that I know are not like that. And there are other shows that talk about people who are that where actors portray a person who is on the spectrum, who is learning how to function in a normal world with their autism spectrum or their Asperger's or whatever, such like The Good Doctor. The Good Doctor is a really good show, and it's not always medically accurate, but being a nurse, I'm a little bit picky. But I think it does a great job of raising awareness for autism and the spectrum, but it doesn't necessarily create a very true perception of how most autistic people are. And I'm talking about like the little people that most of y'all have and that we have. Like a lot of my viewers, we all have children that are under 10 years old, and they are very special needs. They are a level 3, very low functioning, such as my kids operate on about an 18-month-old level. And although we are in very good therapies, and we're very fortunate to have better therapies than a lot of other people, like in comparison, we're very fortunate to have the therapies that we have and be in the ABA kindergarten that we have in our school district. That's just amazing. And then we do CBD, and we keep a very tight routine at home, and we work with the kids at home. But all of that saying, we're still very low functioning. We don't go potty yet. They don't really understand. They don't compute about knowing when to knowing the signals for when to go potty. So we're still changing diapers, and we're still working on feeding, and there's just so many things that there's a huge deficit where we don't function normally, and it's very, I always have hope, but it is very unlikely that the boys will ever function completely normally in the world. It is very likely that they will require constant care for the rest of their lives. And there is this public perception of Rain Man, the good doctor, and other autism circumstances that are great for raising awareness, but they're not really talking about the nonverbal, the lack of being able to perform simple activities of daily living, or ADLs. And that is why we are here, to raise awareness and acceptance for nonverbal autism, for that level 3, where they're always going to be special needs and they're probably never going to function in society as productive members of society. Now, I know a lot of y'all through the channel and then through Facebook and then personal friends, y'all know we've come through a lot, and I'm perfectly fine with, you go back and forth. It's like a seesaw. First you grieve, and then you're angry, and then you're just accepting. And for the most part, we're at the accepting stage where we just know it's going to be hard. For the rest of our lives, we are going to worry about them. We're going to worry about Alex and Will. We're going to worry about how are they going to function, who's going to take care of them. And it's always going to be there that those 2 little boys they're going to grow up, and they're going to be grown men, and they may never potty train. They may never completely learn to self-feed, and we have to just prepare for that. It's depressing, and it's anxiety-ridden, and it's constantly on the back of our brains. But it's okay. We just keep going. We keep taking it a day at a time, and at the same time, we just think about the future and prepare for the future, because it's always on the back of our minds that they're never going to function normally. Now, miracle of miracles, if they function normally by the time they're grown, wonderful. I'm totally fine with that. Of course I'm fine with that. But I have to prepare for that probably not. And there's this frustrating sense of, you watch TV or you interact with people, or people will say, so back to that original thought of people will say, oh, what is their superpower? And one of my friends commented, her son is almost grown. And she said, well, his superpower is about half of the time he makes it to the bathroom to poop, and the other half of the time he doesn't. And guess what? He's a grown person who needs help cleaning up. And it comes with all of those. He's 6 feet tall. He is the size of a grown man, and yet he still requires things that you have to do for, like, let's say a 2 or 3 year old. And it's okay. It just is what it is. I want to work on raising awareness and let people know it is very sad and depressing and frustrating when people say, random people who don't know very much about autism say, oh, what is their superpower? Are they really good counters? Can they multiply, whatever? Because there's always that like math thing where they can always multiply or long divide like millions into millions or whatever, you know what I mean? Or they have a photographic memory and they can, remember everything they've read in a book, or they can hear a song and then sit and play it on the piano. I mean, that's great and wonderful. It's kind of cool. But for the most part, most autistic people and the parents of these autistic people, me included, they don't have superpowers. We're really lucky if they sleep through the night. And we're really lucky if they sleep through the night for the rest of their lives. We're really, really happy when they learn how to go potty, because that's such a huge deal. We really get excited when they can feed themselves without vomiting. I mean, it's just so, the superpower is when they can accomplish these little bitty things that are so taken for granted by the rest of the world. And yet with us, it's such a big deal. So anyway, most of you who are watching, I'm preaching to the choir because most of you get it. Because most of you are like, yeah, there is no superpower other than, hey, he went potty today and he may not go potty again for 3 more months, but he went potty today and he pooped in the potty. That kind of thing. So, or he said one word, or he made eye contact one time. Those little milestones, that is their superpower. I mean, like, we get just as excited about those little things as you do about your kid, you know, getting their driver's license and passing the driver's exam and learning how to drive. So anyway, so it's all perspective, and I know that I'm preaching to the choir, so I want you to tell me your story. Like, most of you are in the same boat as us, and your superpowers maybe they went poop in the potty. So tell me your story below. Tell me what you think. Have you run into that situation where people have said, oh, what is their superpower? And did you roll your eyes and then show some grace? Did you lose your temper? Did you try to be kind? Most of the time, you know, you try to be kind, but there's sometimes where you're just so overwhelmed and stressed out and you're so tired that you're just like, really? Really? I can't believe that so-and-so just said that. You know what I mean? Anyway, that doesn't happen to me all the time, but you know, you just get tired. You get tired of you just get tired of dealing. Anyway, tell me your story below. This was kind of a rambling one where we just talked about autism superpowers. Has it been asked of you? Has your kid accomplished something that has really been a huge milestone for you that may not be something that's like, you know, the rest of the world would understand, but something that was really big deal to y'all? Just tell me in the comments below. Tell me your story. I want to hear it. And if you liked this video and it resonated with you, be sure to give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel. Ring the bell for notifications. I usually release videos weekly on Saturdays. And follow us on social media. I like to post things that may not necessarily make it to a video, just about our daily life. Facebook is EllisFamLife, #autistictwins, and Instagram is EllisFamLife_autistictwins. And if you know of someone who is struggling, they need to meet us, we need to meet them, they need a community, they're newly introduced to the world of autism, nonverbal autism, then share this video, share our channel, help us get our message out there. And like, share, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, social media, all of the things. Thank you so much for commenting and telling me your story. I really love to read the stories. And ask me questions if you think of something. And thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to next time.